May we have a roll call, please?
David Dahl.
Here.
Margot Moore.
Here.
Nicholas Andrews. Colleen White.
Here.
Justin Lerman. Justin Henderson. Debbie Cole.
Here.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on November 13th, 2023. Do we have any suggested changes to the minutes, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept. Second.
I wasn't here, so I didn't want a second or make a motion.
Okay. I'm assuming we do not need a roll call vote for this item? Okay. Having heard that, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Coakley, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, you should have an email on your dice that we received today. This is actually from the applicant's agent, Mr. Wester, so it's basically just an overview of what he's going to present tonight, but it was submitted to the planning department, so it's there for your review.
Thank you, sir. I have some ex parte communication to disclose. Mr. Wester left me a message on Friday with an overview of his application. Does anyone else have anything to disclose as far as ex parte? Okay, thank you, everyone. Do we have any old business?
No old business.
Okay. Hearing none, maybe we take on new business PC 1923.
Absolutely. This is application PC 1923 for a property located at 504 First Street South. This is a request for rezoning from CS zoning to plan unit development. I'm going to give you a kind of quick overview here. The property has been owned by South Jacks Reynolds LLC since 2015. The property in question is basically this structure here and this structure here. They're on like this smaller contiguous parcel. Currently, the property is used for storage and some distribution for their restaurant group, which includes the fish camps, the dockside seafood, a few other restaurants. And then they're, I don't know if it's still there, they may have demolished it already, but they've got plans in to demolish what is basically a historic single-family home that they've been using for storage and a little bit of office space. And they have approval to build a new structure here that's an additional storage building that'll be slightly larger than this one, and that'll include cold storage, a large two-story freezer, and some other related items. They came to us with a request, basically when that building was going to be constructed, to do a commissary for these restaurants, basically do some on-site or off-site prep for the restaurants that wouldn't take up space in their kitchens. A lot of them are in retrofitted buildings or historic buildings, and they have smaller kitchens. So anything they can do to offload some of that work to a central facility makes everything run a little bit smoother. When we sat down and went through the code, the CS zoning allows a mix of kind of more intense commercial, some lighter commercials, some interior light industrial, including things like industrial bakeries. So something like a Marita Bread can move in, have a manufacturing facility that's inside, make bread. However, there's nothing that would allow basically a commissary use, like a large kitchen. In fact, it's a use that's not even described in our code currently. Although the CS zoning seemed like a logical place to put it, it doesn't occur in industrial, it doesn't occur in commercial. So the proposal was basically we want to be able to do this, how do we get there? And unfortunately, the only mechanism that we could come up with was a rezoning and plan unit development to basically add this use to what they're currently allowed to do. Just to give you a little lay of the land. So that is the current property. Everything you see in this color here is that CS zoning, which again is kind of a transition between industrial and commercial. There's no residential allowed in that category. Here you have actual industrial. This is the storage, like mini storage facility. This is Publix here, which is also a PUD. And then you have all the commercial on Beach and Cheddar, and the commercial over here. And then this is all multifamily zoning here. So again, I think it was intended to be a transition use, but it, I'm sorry?
What's the pink?
Over here?
Yeah.
That is, Oh, that's basically redevelopment, RD zoning. It's like a PUD, but that's in the central business district
What's the coral?
down here.
Yeah.
That is, I believe that's RM3 and this is RM2, if I'm not mistaken.
I have it on my presentation.
Yeah. The point is, this is kind of an odd area. You've got some commercial, you've got some actual industrial and storage uses in here in the CS zoning. And then, mini storage technically could go in the CS zoning, it's currently industrial. So it's an odd area. This is where, ink brewing is, this is where the marble and tile cutting place is. So again, it's kind of an odd transition area. Their proposal when they were developing the actual structure will include some additional striping and creation of parking. They currently don't actually have any on-site parking. They've been using the city's off-site parking, but that will continue, and that's part of the city's program to expand some of this. So there will be more of that on-street city-owned parking, but they'll be adding striping and a little bit of pavement to basically allow for some parking in here to meet their parking standards. There's some, they're meeting their little bit of landscaping they have to do. It's a pretty light standard for the CS zoning for commercial and industrial uses, but in essence, everything they're going to be doing is inside the building. They deliver most of their products through Springer vans. They don't really get large trucks in there daily moving supplies in and out. They do have a loading bay as part of this current facility. So overall, the impact compared to what they're permitted to do now won't really be noticeable to the outside, because it'll be the same amount of people, it'll be the same amount of vehicles going in and out for deliveries. It'll just be internal to the building. They'll be doing some prep work and cooking that they can't do currently. So that's the summation of the PUD. Staff doesn't really think the use is incompatible with the current zoning. It's really just an expansion. Like I said, a commercial bakery I think would have probably more impact, which is an allowable use there. But the proposed use is going to be handled through the PUD. And like I said, there are some surrounding existing multifamily structures to the south here. They, as far as we know, I couldn't find any history of code compliance issues. They appear to have been a good neighbor to these properties, again, because everything's really inside. And then obviously the storage facility doesn't really have much impact on that. So we don't find that it's in conflict with the land development code or with the comprehensive plan. And it definitely falls into the same types of categories of uses allowed in the CS land use in the comp plan. And so we're recommending approval for what is in essence just an expansion of uses.
Thank you, Mr. Coakley. Before we go any further, I just want to sort of outline how we run our meetings. The Planning Commission bases its decisions on competent, substantial evidence, including testimony provided in this meeting. Any person who's not an applicant or agent that wishes to speak will need to fill out a speaker's card located on the side table by the door, entering them into the clerk. It's our practice that regardless of the type of issue we are asked to decide upon, each member of the public is given 3 minutes to speak on each item. We can track that here. Please refrain from speaking out from the audience, applauding, groaning, etc., as we try to ensure an atmosphere where everyone listening or in attendance is comfortable, and please silence your cell phone. So that's basically how we organize our meetings. Mr. Appleton, if you'd like to be sworn in and address us.
Thank you. Brad Wester, driver McAfee, Hawthorne, Debenau, 1 Independent Drive, Suite 1200, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. Yep.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brad Wester, this is a request to rezone the property from CS, which is commercial service, to PUD. And it is a request to specifically add the commissary use into the CS zoning through the PUD process. And as you can see on here, the definition of a commissary essentially is basically a facility where food containers or supplies are kept, handled, prepared, packaged, and or stored. And that's really what it is. My team here, I represent Southern Provisions. The general contractor running land walls here with Urban Partners, and then our architects and civil engineer help provide these drawings that you'll see here. This is a 1.14 acre property in the CS zoning district and has got a commercial future land use map category. It's a mix of lower intense commercial and light industrial uses, ranging from restaurant, inland indoor manufacturing, and warehousing. And the next sentence is really important because this includes things like industrial bakeries. So ironically, you can have an industrial bakery, but we need a commissary to prepare soups and broths. The property is currently used for office, warehouse, cold storage, processing and distribution of the provisions, just like Mr. Polly mentioned, distributing to the different local restaurants. A commissary use, similar to an industrial bakery, would allow cooking and preparation of batch foods, soups, broths, and other provisions in an enclosed, controlled environment building for packaging and distribution to the owners of local restaurants specifically. And this is a sample of all the different local restaurants. There are others, and we probably know of them. There's some others coming online, but if you go to the website, you can see that. But these are ones we know of: Marker 32, Dockside, St. Augustine Fish Camp, North Beach Fish Camp, AB Kitchen, Valley Smoke, Palm Valley Fish Camp, and then Julington Creek. And there are others coming online as well. Here's the property as we've previously described. Here's an aerial, we can go back to that. Here's the zoning, and so I actually put this chart on here just to recall that, but as Kristen mentioned, this gray here is our CS zoning. So you see where it kind of builds up and transitions into this intersection node here, this CS zoning there. So you can see the other uses. This shade here and this is where the Publix is, and then we've got right across the CubeSmart next to us. There's various commercial industrial uses all around there. But it really is a range of mixture uses and transitional uses from not only commercial industrial, but to multifamily as well. This is the current site plan, and the 950 square foot old home, circa 1928, is still there today. It's still being used, and it will be coming down soon to add to it. There's currently a metal building on the property, and that's this square here. This is the metal building that sits there today, and here's the one-story wood frame old house. We actually use it right now for storage and office and admin space, but as you can imagine, 900 square feet is very tight. So we are growing that to this 2,000 square foot metal building, and they will essentially tie in together. If you have any questions about that, Ronnie with Urban Partners can describe more about that. They will function code-wise as two separate buildings, so fire code, life safety, all that stuff. They'll be functioning as two separate buildings, but they will have a kind of pathway between the two buildings to really kind of commingle the different uses: cold storage, food prep, office admin, various functions that need to happen on the property. And then, as Christian mentioned, we've got various parking and kind of pull in. This is a very quick turnover use, meaning our trucks come in, they grab the provisions, and then they go out to the restaurants. So we've got several employees that work there, and they process the fish and the other things that we get there. But essentially, this commissary use that will be used in these buildings, in addition to what's there right now, is essentially to help prepare food, broths, other things that are burdened in the restaurants right now. Some of those restaurants are brand new builds, some of them are retrofit, but the kitchen space is really burdened by the preparation of that type of entity, so we're bringing that into one facility right now, and that's essentially what this request is. As I mentioned before, industrial bakeries, ironically, if we were making pies and cooking muffins, baking muffins, we could do that here, but if we want to bake or cook broths and other things, then technically that's under the commissary use. For distribution to other restaurants. So we're wrapping this commissary use as an addition to the CS zoning now through the PUD process, and that's probably the easiest way to frame that. You can see the different development specs that we've incorporated into the PUD. This is the new building that we're looking at. It's a prefab metal building that would be kind of built on the property. It'll match, kind of marry up to the existing building, and then there's going to be a pass-through accordingly for the use between the two buildings. This rezoning is consistent with the comp plan and the LDC. Obviously, we saw that's future land use map designation of commercial, and it has a commercial service zoning. This would allow the redevelopment and expansion of compatible commercial industrial uses on the existing property that's been customarily used by the owner for restaurant support uses. In addition to the commissary use, this will allow less trips and delivery vans to the various restaurants serviced from the site by combining the cold storage, dry storage use, distribution, and now food prep, all to be picked up at a single location, in lieu of having two different locations. We do appreciate the consideration of this approval, and I'm glad you got my emails and phone calls, and if you have any questions, I think it's a very simple request. We are gonna build the building no matter what. So everything in that building is gonna be fully enclosed and operating as it's always customarily been. So we're just asking for a commissary use to allow us to provide that additional service to our restaurants in the area. With that, I'm here to answer any questions.
Do we have questions for the applicants? For the applicant,
What are your hours?
That's a great question. They are early in the morning till the evening. They generally follow the typical business hours. I would say 8 to 5, but if there are needs for demand, then they can work later. But it's not until the wee hours of the night, or sometimes the commercial fishing does bring in fish early in the mornings, and we want to process that and pull it off the docks and get it to our stores. So we do have times where we'll have folks arrive very, very early.
What is very, very early?
It could be before sunrise.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Not at 3 a.m.
what's that?
Not at 3 a.m.
Oh, I don't think it's 3 a.m., no.
But like 5.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta get the stuff off the docks, it is all local, so we gotta get the stuff off the docks and to our facility. So by then, before sunrise, we do have folks to come there and at least tender that from the trucks. But generally speaking, most of our employees are 8 to 5, and then all the distribution is that too, because we want that stuff to go to our restaurants, which the primary PM peak hours, restaurant service is for the dinners of all the Valley Smoke and everything else. So, we wanna get it out for the big push, the big rush.
Does it normally close around 5?
I'm sorry?
Does it close at 5?
I don't know if it closes at 5,
It's usually a little bit earlier.
This is Ronnie Linewall. It's a little bit earlier. I mean, we want to get them out, because they do arrive a little bit earlier. But if the need is there, I wouldn't say there's a specific set of hours, but it's a blue collar element where you guys got coming in, they're wearing the Grundens full, bibs, kind of bringing in fish and helping to prepare stuff. So I'd say 8 to 5, but generally they're more on the earlier time frames than the later time frames. So we'll have folks there earlier than sunrise, but probably not after sunset, if that makes any sense.
Do you know of any neighbors that live in the houses behind you that have ever complained?
No, I don't. There is an alleyway that separates them. So there's, I think it's a 15-foot alleyway that separates that. It's kind of a paper street, but nothing's been built there, so there's just kind of vegetation that's grown up. And it goes all the way down all those properties. And that kind of is the transition zone from that CS zoning to the medium density residential, if you will, multifamily. But no, we've not had any questions about anything on this property or notice of any violations come our way, and I asked the city staff as well, but nothing's been reported. I think everything's pretty copacetic. The other thing that's really interesting about our operation is, I mean, we deal with a lot of seafood, a lot of fish products, but we have a very innovative way of preparing them and disposing of them. We actually ozonate the water that we help prepare and dispose of them, so you'll never smell any fish smell when you're going through around the property. So it's a very very clean operation. It's a lot of process involved, but I believe this commissary use, they're adding to a current good track record that is already in play on the property.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to kind of follow on to that, so I'm assuming you're already doing a fish processing there in those hours
Yes.
currently.
We can
So
do that now.
as you grow and add more restaurants, as you indicated, is that going to change those hours at all?
No, and like I said, most of the hours are earlier than they are than the later side, because you want to get the stuff off the dock to the facility. So you got folks that are arriving there before sunrise, but then you got other workers showing up, and then you got the delivery vans. So those generally between 8 to 5. And then 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, that's generally the time frame when the whistle goes off and everybody goes home, because everything's at the restaurants already. We do have management that may need to come to that facility and grab extra supplies, because we do have supplies there as well. So we do have dry goods. I mean, everything, napkins and straws and other things too that is stored there. So if that's the need to go there, that it's a facility that could be open 24 hours on that need. or if there's a catering event. But other than that, it's mainly 8 to 5. That's probably the best way to put it. But generally, if there are folks either 8 to 5, it's generally before the 8 o'clock hour because of the arrival of all the fish coming from the docks.
Any further questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'll now open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers cards? Is there anyone in the audience who's not filled out a speaker's card that wishes to speak? And if so, you can fill one out and provide it to the clerk before you leave. I'm not hearing any. So hearing none, I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion. So commissioners, I ask that you take this opportunity to ask staff any questions you may have. If there's any further questions?
I just want to clarify the conditional use, is that just for that location, or would that be for the whole district area, that whole zone, that whole area?
Yeah, this request is just for the single property. Whether that becomes something that we consider adding into CS in the future would be a discussion probably this summer when we get to the land development code review.
And just a clarification, Mr. Coakley, as a rezoning application, are we the final decision maker here, or are we making a recommendation to the city council?
You guys will be making a recommendation to city council. I don't believe we have a scheduled date yet, but it should go to them in January. And then they will take your recommendation, and then they will approve it or deny it or modify it as an ordinance through 2 public hearings.
Okay, so we just need to keep that in mind as we're thinking of the wording of motions.
You guys can, of course, propose conditions as well if you feel inclined.
What do we think?
I've been doing this for a good period of time, and I've seen a lot of planned use development requests come through, and this is absolutely the cleanest, most perfect alignment for planned use development that I've ever seen. You can tell Steve I said that, because he'll appreciate that. There's been a lot of stinkers through here. This is a good one.
Any other comments from my fellow commissioners? Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
A recommendation?
Recommendation to approve.
I'll second that.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
David Dahl,
Yes.
Colleen White,
Yes.
Debbie Cole,
Yes.
Margot Mooring.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that would be a recommendation for approval, and I will get the dates for city council hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, may we move on to PC 20-23.
All right. So your next item is PC 20-23. This is a request for conditional use approval. The property is located at 700 9th Street South. The request is to add a coffee shop to an existing motorcycle repair facility located in the Industrial 1 zoning district, pursuant to section 346D5 of Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code. In the industrial zoning category, restaurant is a conditional use that can be requested. The subject property is currently occupied by a metal industrial structure that takes up a majority of the land. The remainder is basically just paved driveways. The property is currently built for automotive uses. It is primarily just bays for repair vehicles. It's currently used for motorcycle repair. The property, as you can see on the site plan here, the main bays extend almost the full length of the property, and then there's a smaller set of bays here that are a little bit more shallow. This is the intended location for the coffee shop. The coffee shop is going to be roughly 1,200 square feet in size, with approximately 500 square feet of seating area. The remainder of the structure will be, continue to be used for motorcycle repair. The applicant has a companion variance request for parking and landscaping that's set to go to the Board of Adjustment next week. So any issues related to the actual design will be handled at that stage. The intent is to have the coffee shop available both for patrons of the motorcycle repair facility, but also for anyone visiting the area. Currently, there is no designated parking on site. The applicant is actually proposing to strike some parking, and the ins and outs of that, again, will be addressed by the Board of Adjustment. But the intent is to provide some of the required on-site parking, and then north of the facility, along the city's public right-of-way, there is currently some unimproved parking, but this area, I believe, is part of the Public Works project that will get additional on-street parking as well. So it's a relatively simple use. The area is predominantly industrial in nature. Immediately adjacent is a warehouse and office complex to the north, a vehicle storage yard to the west, a private social club to the south, and multifamily uses across 9th Street to the east. The commercial use of restaurant is generally considered to be a less intense use than vehicle repair, so in essence they'll be reducing the impact and intensity by eliminating those bays for motorcycle repair and converting them to commercial use. We don't think that the use of a small coffee shop will negatively impact the area because it is predominantly a mix of uses, but again, this is in an industrial area. So we find that based on the applicant's application and the analysis in the report that we're recommending approval for the conditional use request. We'll also be recommending approval on the variance as well next week. That report's going out tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Coker. May the applicant please come up and address us? And you guys just come in and address us.
So I'm gonna have you please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Nicholas Notario, 700 9th Street South.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
How you doing? I mean, I don't really know where to start. I've been there for about 8 years. Started off by just renting the own bay out for myself, and so many people kept coming up and asking whether or not I could fix their motorcycles or scooters, especially out here at the beach. It slowly grew. I ended up purchasing the building, and then so now I'm pretty busy, and I do have that end bay to where I'm basically using it for storage for bikes, and I have a collection of older vintage bikes, and coffee and bikes kind of go one in one. There are a few shops or a few facilities around the United States that kind of do motorcycles and coffee, you know, and then so basically I'm just looking to use that space and really use it for the customers that come up and get the oil changes, for somewhere for them to go, and then also for the people that are around. I have 2 CrossFit gyms, I've got a pool company, and I've got quite a few landscape, and then the building next to me, I believe they just purchased it. I believe they have about 50-something employees, and really the people in the neighborhood. I'm not looking to have people come from all over to come to it. And the people that do come, I want on motorcycles or bicycles. I grew up out here at the beach. My main source of transportation has always been bicycle or scooter. So that's really all I'm looking to do. I'm not trying to think. I mean, I don't have huge plans for it or anything. I'd really just like to use the space to help grow and help really help supplement some income so I can pay some of my employees a little bit more on top of things, because getting into the motorcycle business wasn't to become rich. But that's pretty much it.
Do you have questions for the applicant?
So no Starbucks?
No Starbucks.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
We'll now open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers cards?
No.
Again, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to address us, you can do so and then fill out a speaker's card. So I made that.
I'll say something.
Sir?
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Yes, Mike Hanna, address 13436 Avenue South, Jacks Beach.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I didn't come here to make any comments or to speak on his behalf. He does not know me. I do not know him, but I did have my motorcycle worked on it in his shop. Oh, gosh, you probably don't remember. It was like right as he bought the building, and I had a conversation with him about buying it and his plans, and he mentioned the coffee shop. That was many years ago. It might have been 6 years ago or 5 years ago. So I'm not here to represent the building to the north, the old Jack Refrigeration building, but I am affiliated with them. Full disclosure, my sister's company, Natural Life, is the one who purchased it, and there's about 50 women that work there. It's a female-owned business, and they do massive community give back, and they'll be having some community events over there. But everybody over there is super excited about the potential coffee shop there. And if there's any individual that you would want owning and starting a business in Jacks Beach that services the community, it's this gentleman. He's got a great reputation. Again, he does not know me, and I did not get paid to say that, but he does have a very, very good reputation, so he's a stand-up guy. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else who cares to address us? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And it's back to the board for discussion. Do we have any discussion? Do we have, and again, this is our action. We're not making a recommendation or taking action. Do we have discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Colleen White,
Yes.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Debbie Cole,
Yes.
Margot Mori.
Yes.
So you guys have approved the conditional use, and then next steps next week for the variance.
Thank you.
May we have the planning department report, please?
Absolutely. So we have set the tentative date for the board and commission review of the proposed comp plan for January 10th, probably around 5:30. We'll have an invitation going out once we get the room scheduled, but we will have basically the draft elements of the new comp plan to send to you guys. So it's going to be a mix of some more detail and less detail. A lot of moving things around to places where they make sense, removing duplications. There is one new element that we're adding for historic preservation. So overall, it'll be probably 80% the same, but things will look a little different, the formatting will be different, and then there are a lot of areas that we're cleaning up and trying to fix and tweak some things that have never really worked. So that'll be coming to you guys ahead of time to review, but as I said, that's hopefully into the 10th, so it's a Wednesday, I believe.
Will there be highlights on those formatting issues you just talked about? In other words, will you say, pay attention to these aren't changed, they look different, they're the same? Will there be any of that?
Yeah, the consultant's gonna go through a whole presentation. We're not doing a full like strike through and whatnot, but yeah, there'll be a.
So, go ahead.
We're gonna give you a copy of the old one and the new one, and then we'll basically connect the dots at the meeting.
Right, it's only a lot of reading if you do it. My question is, if we have a read ahead, what are we looking for?
Predominantly, you're going to be looking, since you guys haven't done a full comp plan before, in essence, the comp plan is supposed to be the sort of broad, general categories of the city with regards to utilities, conservation, land development, all that kind of stuff. So what that sets is the tone for the rest of the city. In essence, you want to make sure that what's in there basically enacts the vision of the city, is protecting the things you want to protect, allowing the things you want to allow, restricting the things that don't belong there. Again, I don't think there's anything glaring that we've run into that's catastrophic for the city, but over time we've, added things like related to sea level rise, and we've tweaked some things. We've added the property rights element, things like that, but there hasn't been like a real go through and mesh all those things together. So we have conservation policies that are in the future land use categories. They're in the future land use element, they're in the conservation element, they're in the coastal element. So we've taken all those and put them in a coastal conservation element, so they're all in one spot. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff. And the things that are going to be different or are going to have a real impact in what we're changing, we're definitely going to cover those in detail.
Thank you.
And there will be a possibility for public comment, correct? Because I think I've mentioned folks have contacted me asking for the ability to attend a public meeting to talk about.
Oh, yeah, so the first stage of this is going to be, we're going to do this meeting with you guys and the CRA and the Board of Adjustment, and then we're going to do a briefing with council to go over that stuff, and then there will be probably at least the 2 public hearings, probably more than that. Usually there'll be deferments and things like that. But there will be many opportunities throughout the process for the public to participate. They can certainly come to the workshops and ask questions that you guys are holding, but then there will be the formal process to go through as well with council, which is really where, all those conversations can happen at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, my question really was, would they have the opportunity to address us if they care to? Because that's what I'm hearing is that folks would like to.
Yeah, I mean, the intent of these workshops predominantly is to get your input, because you guys are a unique group, you and the other boards that really administer the code and the comp plan. But there will certainly be an opportunity for the public to ask questions. And the consultants usually hang around afterwards as well to, do some one-on-one time with people. They usually get, sequestered and ask a lot of questions and stuff as well. So, yeah, there'll be plenty of opportunity for the public to interact.
Okay, thank you.
The only other thing we have is your next meeting is scheduled for January 8th. I think we have one item, but we haven't crested the deadline yet, so I'm not 100% sure. If we don't have any items, we'll let you know in advance, but as of right now, I think we do. And that's all.